You're live.
Welcome to the Sweetwater County Board of County Commissioners regular board meeting here on May 17th, Tuesday. Got all the commissioners here in chambers with us. So calling this meeting to order. I'd like to also recognize former Commissioner Wally Johnson here in studio with us today. So thanks for being here. If you'd rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and afterwards a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. We have an agenda before us and need to approve that. I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve our agenda as presented today.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. We have minutes from our May 3rd, 2022 meeting. We're waiting for our approval. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. On to tab B, we have the acceptance of the bills, the county vouchers and warrants, EALs, bonds, monthly reports, abates, rebates. Your pleasure, commissioners.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
make a motion to approve the county vouchers and warrants, bonds, monthly reports, and abates and rebates as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. County residents' concerns, comments, and compliments. I'm always going to include that. I'm fishing. One of these days we're going to get it.
Fishing.
Yeah, fishing for a compliment. So we'll open it up to anyone who'd like to speak here at the podium or anything online. Somebody's giving us a no-go. We'll give it like 10 more seconds. Okay. Thank you, County. I'll keep hoping for that compliment someday. Tab C, we have Sheriff's Commendation for Ryan Passport. And we are way ahead of schedule, obviously, but
Yeah, the sheriff's just coming in.
I just, yeah, it's outside.
oh, did you just walk in? Okay. We'll wait here. Sheriff Grossnickel, ready for you whenever you are. Mhm. Did he hear me? There he is. We're ready for you. I know, just like that. Oh, they're not? Okay, we can come back. All good. So we will come back to tab C and move on to tab D. And we have Candy Pendleton here from the events complex talking to us about his consideration for historic horse racing revenue. Revenue always sounds better than expense. So you're off to a good start.
Right.
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Candy Pendleton from the Sweetwater Events Complex. And gosh, I think in my budget meeting, in our budget meeting in March, was it March? In March, there was some discussion between Commissioner Wendling and Commissioner Lloyd about the possibility of taking some of the horse racing revenues and returning it to the events complex to be used to enhance the facilities that are used for horse racing specifically. So I'm not going to let that opportunity slide. I thought maybe we could have that conversation today. So it's just up for consideration and discussion. I wanted to give you some additional information and see where we could go from there. So I know that we have had lots of discussion about what horse racing looks like and what it means here in Sweetwater County, but I wasn't sure if you guys had seen the statutes. I know Attorney De Leon is familiar, but simulcasting and historic horse racing is where this money is coming from. So I pulled the state statute. So simulcasting means the sale of parimutuel pools electronically transmitted live or historic on interstate or interstate parimutuel events as prescribed by the Gaming Commission. Pretty simple. We have those OTBs in Rock Springs. We have an OTB here, off-track betting. I'm sorry, we have off-track betting in Rock Springs and Green River, and that's where the money is being generated. So the commission, and when they say the commission, they're talking about the parimutuel commission or the gaming commission. The gaming commission shall establish the number of actual live horse racing dates that they're required to qualify to have a simulcast license. So in order for Wyoming Downs, Wyoming Horse Racing, Sweetwater Downs, all of those places to have a simulcast, they have to have live horse racing. So the current requirement is that they have 16 live horse racing dates. Wyoming Horse Racing runs here at the Sweetwater Events Complex from mid-August to the first weekend in October to hit those 16 dates. Pulled just a little bit of information for you. I know that you have seen this lots of times, but the chart shows the last 3 years of historic horse racing revenues and what's been returned to both cities and the county. So 2019, 2020, and 2021, other than 2020, which no one wants to speak about, the trend has been that it's continuing to increase. So as you can see from the county's perspective, $616,000 in 2019, dropped a little bit, but not significantly really in 2020 to 567. And then in 2021, almost $800,000 returned to the county from those off-track betting sites. So the totals on the bottom do not add up to those 3 columns. And I understand that, I get that. I just wanted to show you what the last 3 years look like. But the bottom column does show you the number that you have received, the county and the cities have received since things started in 2014. So to date, Sweetwater County has received $3.3 million directly from those off-track betting sites. And 6.6 million total to the cities and counties. So Green River is the one that's a little later to the game, but they're already at 277. And those are the only 3 years that Green River collected because they didn't have an off-track betting site before that. So I think we'll just see those numbers grow. As you guys are aware, I think the next thing on your agenda, although we're out of order, but the next thing on your agenda is some conversation about another possible location, which would probably see those numbers grow as well. So all good for Sweetwater County, all good for our residents, in my opinion. So what we're requesting is that the commission consider partnering with us, partnering with Wyoming Horse Racing, and earmarking a percentage of that horse racing revenue to go back to facility improvements. The county owns the Sweetwater Events Complex. The public owns Sweetwater Events Complex. So we're just asking you to take some of that money and put it back into the grandstands facilities. The grandstands was built the same time as the rest of the events complex in the late 70s, and unfortunately has not seen a lot of improvements. So the seating is the same as it was in the 70s. The concessions is basically the same. The restrooms are deplorable. It just needs some work. Good news is Wyoming Horse Racing did spend some money here just recently and had an engineering report done. Our number one priority and theirs was to make sure that everybody is safe. So we did an engineering report on the structure itself, and there were no structural issues at all. So everything is cosmetic, which is fantastic news. So here's an example. If we took that 25 to 35% of last year's money, so last year's revenue was $783,649.66, and then looking at some options of 25, 30 to 35%, those would be the numbers that would be earmarked back to spend in the facility if you so chose to do so. As a reminder, Wyoming Horse Racing has agreed to put $1 million back into the facility in this contract. So it's set up to give us about 100 to 150,000 a year, depending on the year. But they have indicated that there's some possibility that they could front load some of that. So if we pick the 30% and we have 235,000 this coming year, I think we could get them to match that. So we'd be looking at almost $500,000 to do improvements for this next fiscal year. So the money adds up really rapidly if we all work together and partner. So we have brainstormed, and in our contract with Wyoming Horse Racing, we have a list of improvements that were brainstormed initially when we started this project. So infrastructure is always huge. We've had many conversations with the commission and the public about our need for some expanded water on the grounds. Water, sewer, and electrical obviously is always an issue. So that is one of the things that we need to look at. Water, especially that 1.2 million for that second water loop. All indications say that until we do that, we can't make other improvements or at least add additional restrooms or those sorts of things. They need a jockey's room, race office, media center down near the bleachers, down near the grandstands. Right now they use our small hall, which if you remember where that is, it's up by our exhibit hall. So it's not really located in a great location to use when you have live horse racing going on. It's a long ways away. Steward stand renovations. That is the stand that's up on top of the grandstand's roof. And we did get JFC to tell us that it is structurally sound and it's not going anywhere, which is great news, because if you have ever been up there, you would question whether it's going anywhere. So it is structurally sound, but it definitely needs some upgrades. It just needs some creature comforts. Paddock improvements. Honestly, things are just sort of drab and ugly in a lot of places out there. And because we're being simulcasted and we're being seen sort of around the world at this point with those horse races, it would be nice to make Sweetwater County look a little bit better. Bridle path improvements, PA system upgrades, test barns. The grandstand improvements are a big deal for me. That would move up higher on the list. That would be adding backs to the seats. Like I said, improving the concessions and the restrooms, those sorts of things. They would like to have bigger horse stalls. Valid. Racehorses are not known to be the calmest things in the world. And we have 10 by 10 horse stalls, which are a little tight for them. So they are interested in some additional larger horse stalls. And then because they are on the grounds for 6 weeks and they leave their stuff on our grounds year round, there was some conversation about possibly getting a maintenance shop or a storage building for them that we could also utilize. So the list is long, and I know y'all are doing math in your head and it's very expensive, but we have to start somewhere. So I think we all get together and put our heads together and decide where we want to start and what the first priority is and just go from there. Couple of things to consider while we're talking about Wyoming horse racing specifically. Obviously, those improvements have a big impact across lots of events. Red Desert Roundup Rodeo has been going here for many, many years, and they certainly would like to see some upgrades at the facility. National High School Finals Rodeo is coming back in 2024 and 2025. So improvements to the restrooms and concession areas specifically would be a big deal for them. We do not have a current contract with them past 25. So I think some improvements certainly would increase our standings going forward to possibly bid out that event. Future grandstands events and all equine events that are down there would be affected. So combining the investment from Wyoming horse racing with a percentage of the horse racing revenue, which is what we're asking you to consider, could exceed $3.7 million over the next 10 years, which would make a substantial impact on that list that we just went over. And of course, timing is everything. So we believe that the timing is now. And I think there was some conversation about that maybe in March. We have talked about this for several years now that maybe we should do this, but I think now the timing is great because Wyoming horse racing, they have new owners. They have invested in the facility. They have invested in Sweetwater County. They are investing in additional buildings, even within the cities, to get these OTBs out there. Again, I mentioned National High School Finals is returning. And then there are some grant opportunities. We always are talking to Christina Marshall here about some grant opportunities. So I think if we could use either your seed money from the revenues or the money from Wyoming horse racing as match money, there may be some possibilities to even grow that dollar amount further. So that's the long and short of it. And I know you have questions. Commissioner Lloyd is looking at me, staring me down over there. So what questions do you have? What information do you need to help you decide that I can get you? And then if there aren't any, what do you think about the timing?
Thank you, Candy. Appreciate that. Could you, maybe it's not the same topic, but I know 2 weeks ago I was in the meeting and there was discussion about how in Gillette, when they have live horse racing, that you can't do the OTB within a certain area. And that was kind of hurting they felt? Is that 100-mile radius or what is it here and how does that work?
There is, so that is just something that Campbell County has decided to do that.
Oh,
So that does
okay.
not affect
Not us.
us. So Campbell County has a little different rules than Sweetwater and the rest of the state, and they adopted that when 307 horse racing came in.
Great.
But for us, that is not the case.
Okay. It sounded a little messy. So
Yes, it is a
good.
little messy.
Okay. Other questions? Commissioner Tolman?
Where are the cities on this? Have you talked to them about helping also?
We have talked to them in the past. We have not talked to them this time, but we are more than willing to do that. So we thought the first step obviously was the county, since the county facility. And then I think if we have the buy-in of the county, we certainly could go to the cities and ask them, what their thoughts are. But we have mentioned it to them on several occasions, Commissioner Tillman.
I offered the challenge to the mayors in a positive vein.
In the best possible way.
Right.
Best possible way. I don't want to have to play pickleball with Mayor Russ the rest of my life.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Actually, no questions. I've
Oh,
been had a chance to meet with
misread that.
Kennedy off mic, kind of a surprise that no questions, but I did bring up the last economic development meeting this concept, and I do agree with it in the concept that by investing into the events complex, we're actually getting a large chunk. Like you saw last year, over $700,000 as a county from the horse racing, and that's only possible if we have an operating track. And actually being a liaison on the events complex board 3 or 4 years ago, there was discussions that those contracts were going to continue on our side and their side if there were other options. And so we want to make sure that partnership maintains, because even if we're in that $200,000 range, we're still seeing an impact to our citizens of over $500,000. But then we also see an alternative impact in the fact by increasing the quality of our events complex by the events we can bring in. So there's a double, you kind of get a double whammy of success. So I'm in support of this. I would probably lay at the 25 or 30% level, but I would be a proponent of this situation because of that, because I just see wins on multiple sides.
For a guy who had no comments, that was pretty good.
That was good.
I said no questions.
Of course. My bad.
I always got a comment.
Mr. Stanfield, Commissioner Wendling, either?
Yeah, Ms. Pendleton, with our contract, our MOU with the events complex, now we've put a limitation on what can be done out there for capital improvements. And before coming before the commission, that still be in play, even with this project. Is that correct?
Correct.
Very
And
good.
I don't know how this would work from a budget standpoint, but if this money is just added to our budget, we would certainly then come to you each year with the idea of what those projects would be, so you knew in advance, but absolutely.
Well, there's a while back, the commission worked with the hospital through their maintenance program and requested that they submit the costs of those maintenance projects to provide oversight. And that was the idea of their trustee, because to make sure that the people taxpayers knew exactly where that money was going. And I think it would be appropriate to, before the project start, to let the commission know. I'm not going to say turn in invoices or anything, but it's provided some great oversight to make sure the money's going where it should be going as it was promised. And I think this is another one of those, because I'm surprised they did as good as they did during COVID. That tells me that there's a few arenas out there that didn't slow down, and it's surprising gambling's one of those. So.
More time to gamble.
Huh?
More time to gamble.
More time to gamble. Yeah, but less money, you kind of got to wonder.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyhow, the point being is, I think in this arena when you think back when the OTBs were being established and statutes were being built, there was that idea that, hey, if it's going to go back if we're going to do this, it should be money that goes back into the community rather than just into the general fund. And I think this now begins to move into that old conversation from years ago. And so I think it would be important that we, not with tight oversight, that's ridiculous, but with good oversight to make sure we let our taxpayers know that, hey, this is where it's going. It's not just being crazeless, but it's going into something for them. And so I think there needs to be a way to keep the commission informed, as well as to track those expenditures and make sure they go there and not anywhere else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, Commissioner Shea?
Mr. Chairman, I think this is a great way to invest back into our community, as stated by other commissioners, and I won't go on because I think that all the other comments have been made.
In that case, then I would entertain a motion. What's your pleasure, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we, as a board, authorize that there's a shared percentage of 30% that of the OTB's money that we receive in the county that will go to the events complex, and it needs to be targeted directly to that activity.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Great, thank you.
Awesome.
One last
Good.
comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I like the percentage idea
Sort of
because
protects yourself.
you should be able to know it's going to increase year to year, you know, and then also on top of that, you don't have to come back and ask for more.
Just make more money and then
Yeah.
and then you get more.
Well, I gotta, you know, this is one arena that I think is gonna grow for whatever the reasons are. So, but anyhow, thank you, Ms. Pendleton.
Thanks for your
Thank you,
time.
commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We will move back to tab C, right on schedule. The Sheriff's commendation for Ryan Passport. Sheriff.
Morning, Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. First, I'll introduce people that are here. Mr. Ryan Passport, members of the Wadsworth family and their family and friends are here also.
Welcome. Happy to have you and for a great occasion.
It is, and the reason we're here today is we wanted to make sure that everybody that's involved in this incident was able to make it. And through a lot of people that did hard work, heroes from first responders, Ryan, doctors, the strength of the Wadsworth family, they're all able to attend this. So it makes it special. Just a quick history. I'm sure most everybody's aware of it, but February 1st, 2022, Mr. Passport was driving on Highway 372 in Jamestown, late for work. There's all small miracles everywhere in the world. And notice a residence in Jamestown. There was smoke billowing from the house along with flames. Emergency personnel had not arrived yet. So Mr. Passport took it upon himself to enter the driveway, where he was met by 3 of the Wadsworth children that were outside the house, who informed him that one of their siblings and their mother was still inside the burning building. Without hesitation, Ryan entered the house, had to crawl because of the smoke, came upon the one sibling in the hallway, was able to extract that sibling, came out. The temperatures were well below zero. He was able to rush the children into his vehicle to keep them warm, and then entered the burning residence to attempt to rescue Mrs. Wadsworth. Again, entered the residence, was able to locate her, extracted her from the house, and realized that she was unresponsive. At that time, he provided emergency medical procedures, was able to resuscitate her at that time, put her in the vehicle, and met emergency personnel on the road. Subsequently, they were able to get the 2 victims to medical care. As you can see, the entire, well, not the entire Wadsworth family. I'm sure the other kids are in school right now, but the members are all doing well now. On top of that, after the incident took place, Mr. Passport took it upon himself to go to a local retail store and buy necessities for the children, and were able to take that to the grandparents' house. So at the sheriff's office, we know we sign up to do a job. And we don't like a lot of recognition, but when you have somebody from the community that does this, we believe that they should be held in a special spot because of that. So we're going to present Ryan Pasborg with the sheriff's commendation in recognition for his sense of community and selfless sacrifice in risking his own life to save the lives of others. The dedicated men and women of the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office are proud to call our neighbor and our friend. There are no words to adequately express the magnitude of his bravery, other than that he's a perfect example of the meaning of a true hero. The famous Arthur Ashe said, "True heroism is remarkably sober, undramatic. It's not the urge to suppress, excuse me. It's not the urge to surpass all others at whatever cost, but the urge to serve others at whatever cost." Ryan?
Ryan, would you like to say a few words, 2 or 3 words, a couple of words?
Well, I'm gonna try to do this without choking up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm getting there myself. Totally understandable.
When I did this, I didn't really understand the recognition that was gonna come with this. This is not what I was looking for. I had 3 little kids looking up at me, and there was no time to think, just act. And I just did what I hope somebody would do for me or somebody else in the same shoes.
Awesome.
And I appreciate your guys' time today.
No, thank you. You represent what Sweetwater County and the people here are all about, just doing the right thing at the right time. And we really appreciate that. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Mr. Pasberg, I have a question though. Aren't you a volunteer fire department with the Green River Fire Department?
I'm a volunteer firefighter for Superior.
Oh, for Superior.
Yes,
So you-
ma'am.
So you at least have the training and some of the background to make you
Yeah, usually you have a little bit of, you usually have a little bit of equipment on when you go into a burning house, but
Generally, yes.
absolutely.
Mrs. Wadsworth, would you like to say anything? Perfect. Thank you. Greatly appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
And Sheriff, thank you for taking the time to recognize. That is an awesome way to keep the day rolling. You know, that is great. We appreciate all of you taking the time to come and recognize him today. Tab E is a resolution approving Wyoming Downs LLC to conduct pari-mutuel wagering on live horse racing, historic horse racing, and simulcast events at an additional location within Sweetwater County. And we have Mr. Nelson.
I'm Andrew Hubert. I'm filling in from Eric
Okay.
this morning. I have the revised resolution that has the 3-year review on it. I don't know if that got submitted. I got it yesterday in my email. I didn't know if you guys wanted that. Because that was a condition that was going to be included anyway. So we went ahead and added it to the resolution, and then so I have it here with me. Just give it. So we want to take the old Sears building and remodel and bring it back to something the community wants to look at. We all know that it's in pretty bad shape right now. We've been working with floodplain. That's been a big issue for the project so far. The floodplain issues for that location are upwards of $250,000 just to get it to where you can even start construction. So it's a big undertaking to move forward, but without that, that building will just sit there for decades or eventually be torn down and just be a parking lot that can never be built on. So we're hoping to put about 140 historic horse racing terminals in there, a live simulcast area. They will also have pool tables and small food service, nothing, not like restaurant, but just small snacks, hot dogs. Infrastructure for a complete restaurant is quite expensive. We're hoping in the future, maybe we can move that way, but at the time, between the grease traps and the equipment to just have the hoods is upwards around $500,000. So it just stops the project. It's a really big investment and we think it'll bring in about $300,000 to the county and $300,000 to the city. And it'll provide about 20 to 30 full-time jobs. We did recently, Wyoming Downs raised all their minimum starting pay. It's above $15 an hour. We're trying to make everybody be able to live. No one can live it below that anyway. So trying to make everybody work and be happy. It would bring a nice new building. Building would look nice and we wouldn't have the eyesore there and we could move forward and have a nice play, another OTB. It'd be a nice place people to go. If you guys have any questions for me.
So that would be within the city, but it's just the licensing portion that comes from the county.
So we get, so the way the statute works is we need come before the commission and get a resolution for each location in front of the county.
Mhm.
And then we need permission from the city. And then we need the permission from the state. That's the way the statute is wrote. So we come before you first, then we'll go to the city and then we'll go to the parimutuel committee for the final approval. So generally, if the city and the county sign off, the state will usually always sign off. So that's why we always start with you guys.
We appreciate that. Questions, comments?
Question.
Yes.
When will you take this before the city?
We will schedule that after.
So it won't be tonight.
No.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, it won't be tonight. So then we'll schedule that and we'll go before the city. I sent a couple of them the proposal to look at it. I haven't got any negative reviews back on it. We don't historically have a lot of problems at our OTBs. So I don't see any problems, but we will still take it before the city and they'll get to say yes or no on the project as well. So
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
what kind of food license are you going to get?
we're just going for small, like we're going to get we're going to get a commercial air fryer, greaseless food, just small to where it's not a restaurant, but people can still eat when they're there to where they're happy, they can stay, get snack, maybe a burger, some fried foods without grease.
Any alcohol?
Right now, we do not have an alcohol license. There isn't one available. It's something that we would like in the future, but at the present time is unavailable.
No license available in any of the restaurant.
We could do full service restaurant.
But need to do a full service restaurant to get a restaurant.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
So as of right now, that is unavailable and we cannot do it unless either a license becomes available or we do a full service restaurant. And currently in the project scope, the building needs so much work that we'd rather fix the building first and look at that towards the future.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Lloyd.
Yeah, just a quick question. It says that there will be over 140 terminals in this facility. How does that compare to the other facilities that you guys have within numbers of machines
So in Sweetwater County or in
Sweetwater County?
In Sweetwater County, currently at Town Bar and Grill, there is 33.
Okay.
At Liquor Depot, there's 85.
Okay.
The Horse Palace has 42 here in Green River. And then at Bombers, they currently have 60, and they just got an expansion approved with the state to go to 100.
Okay.
Other questions? Then what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution approving Wyoming Downs LLC to conduct parimutuel wagering on live horse racing, historic horse racing, and simulcast events within Sweetwater County, Wyoming. That resolution is number 22-05-CC-05.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think Ms. Pendleton will be excited to hear this going through, knowing we just committed to 30% of these incomes going to them. So I'm sure she's a proponent for this.
We're pausing for legal advice.
Keep going. It's way at the bottom.
I've got it online right here.
No, he's got.
Okay,
Keep going. Back up one. There you go, right there. That's the one he brought. You okay?
Are we clear? Okay. You never know. You
No.
never know.
We just want to make
We
sure.
got the updated one yesterday, so I guess we're just checking to make sure that's the one that we're approving. So,
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's got the sunset date on it.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
3 years. Okay, we have a motion second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, there you go.
Well, thank you, everyone. And I'll be back with an update in a few years.
Awesome.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking care of
Good luck.
the Sears building. Yeah,
Thank you. I guess you can tell a guy going into the gambling business, good luck.
good luck. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Probably should take a break in case there might be some more people or skip around.
Let's see. Tab F.
We're very early.
We are very early. Let's see what we can do because we have 8 or 9 items in executive session today. So sure love to get there sooner rather than later. Can we do the Granicus? Can we? Okay. Let's jump to tab H and do the Granicus software discussion and recommendation. That is us. Is that when that mean us? Does that mean Sally? You just want us to discuss, we've had the presentation. I know there was, Commissioner Wendling was ready to move forward last time. We wanted some other
I
time. to
believe
discuss it.
there was a request by a couple of commissioners to have a little more time because they might have some questions, if I remember correctly, and they can jump in if they wish. But so I think we took 2 weeks and allowed that to take place. And at that point in time, I think if anybody would have any questions for Sally or I, I think they had some opportunity to visit with Tim. Tim said, so I think from that standpoint, wherever you want to go, Mr. Chairman.
My fellow commissioners, my questions were answered in this interim. Any other issues that you may have? And if not, then we'll move on with the motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So I have done research. I do believe that there are a few other software programs that we haven't looked at or had presentations from. And I think that the concept is fantastic. I think that it provides support it provides transparency to our community. I don't feel like this is the right time to move forward with this. So that's my comment. I think that we're still kind of working through, we're working through a major issue with our economy right now. And I think that the follow-up money on this, annual follow-up money on this is a bit much for my liking at this point in time.
Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I don't doubt that this is probably a Cadillac type of program, but at a cost of $26,000, we're trying to hold employee hiring. We're trying to hold the line on our budget. I agree with Commissioner Shanefield that I think we should maybe look at other programs. It's just the timing's not right now for this. And it started out just to be a simpler program for our board vacancies. And it's morphed into a complete program and I know it's a good program. I'm not saying it's not a bad idea, but it's, I agree with Shanefield. It's a bit much right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Toman. Any other comments? I guess that'd be Commissioner Lloyd.
Chairman.
Well, let me go to Commissioner.
Okay,
Lloyd
let him
first
go.
there.
I'll wait.
Thank you.
Yeah, just Chairman Smith, I guess I'll echo because we've been there. I do, I'm messing around with the Granicus with other municipalities that utilize it. See a lot of great positives in the program in general. Just the fact that the searcher items, the ability of the boards, the reminder of the boards to when when they're coming up, I think they're fantastic features. I think it increases our transparency by having the availability be a little bit better. With that being said, I'd like to see some comparisons of other software platforms that could perform the same duties. And if this was the best bang for the buck, I would support it, because I do think going to a platform like this would be best. And I think it would be more user-friendly and increase our transparency, which is something we've always wanted to. But until I can do a comparison, it's hard for me to say yes at this point.
Thank you. Ms. Shoemaker, you and I talked about this back in the day, and but you'd looked at others, and this was kind of the one that you felt like was the good one to move forward with. Is this true? So, okay. So I feel, just in my discussions with Sally and knowing what she's looked at, and this is her recommendation, I feel comfortable moving forward with it. I'm hearing that we feel like there is a need for something like this, but you're unsure of if this is it. I feel comfortable with Sally and now Tim and Cindy would like to make a comment. So I'm comfortable with moving forward with this today. Cindy.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Yes, and this is at your direction of looking into these programs. So if you would like us to continue looking at different programs for comparison, just let us know and we'll try to find a few others for you to look at.
But that has been done to an extent already. True?
Right, it
Okay.
has been, but again, this was at your request. So whatever you would like us to do.
Okay, so I'm comfortable with them. So thank you for the work. Commissioner Lloyd?
Yeah,
Hand
Mr.
up.
Chairman. So I'd like to ask a question to Ms. Shoemaker or Mr. Wendling, Commissioner Wendling, who'd been on this committee. So I just kind of want to clarify to make sure you have looked at other software concepts. Were they similar prices? They could do the same piece is what I guess would be my question.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Yes.
And Commissioners, the other software programs were not as high intense as this one. Couldn't do everything effectively with where we're trying to go with the transparency piece and the organizational piece of that. So we didn't look further into the cost pricing of that because it didn't give us the benefit of everything that we needed.
So for what we are trying to accomplish, this is a reasonable price.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And we have similar software programs within the county that other departments utilize
The
for
Dude
their
Solutions.
Dude
kind of thing.
Solutions, absolutely. And I believe there's this 19,000 that they do for all of the buildings that the county owns. So this, I think for 23,000, it's actually $23,527.93 that we are getting more bang for our buck to utilize everything. And you can do a la carte if that's something that you're wanting to do, but for the transparency piece and to preserve the historical knowledge, the video, I think this is excellent. But again, this was just something that the committee was formed at the request of the commission to look at other solutions.
Thank you.
So one more question, Mr. Chairman. So the committee feels they vested with diligence the other options.
I think that's right.
Okay, thank you.
With no other questions or comments, I will entertain a
Mr.
motion.
Chairman,
Yes, I'm sorry.
no comment with regard to the money part of it. Keep in mind that because of the not CARES money, but what's the other one? ARPA. We were able to, through our loss of revenue program, be able to cover a number of projects at our last meeting that tuned to a little over $1.2 million. And so therefore there is money that's been recaptured because of that could go towards this. So there's really no additional or new costs because of the ARPA money and that type of thing. I think out of fairness, I'm ready to move forward to it. I don't believe there's anything out there. I think things we've looked at are Sally and the clerk have looked at this and that, but I think if a commissioner has a specific platform they would like us to look at with Tim, I think they should let us know. I'd be, I know this price is only good for, I think we get 30 days. So I think we can get, another 2 weeks out of it, Sally?
And our next meeting is in 3.
It's in 3, but, that type of thing. But what do the other 2 commissioners think about? Could they recommend some of the platforms to look at since they believe there's others out there?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Toman.
I don't believe the issue right now is other platforms. I believe the issue is we are reducing staff and I just don't, I feel it would be replacing, it could be replacing a person in a job because it's a computer program. I just don't think it's time, and it's an ongoing expense. Once you buy into this, you're buying into it every year, whatever their cost may be. You're hooked into it.
I appreciate the comment, Commissioner Tillman. I'm not sure that replacing staff. I don't know where that's happening. I don't think they're doing that this year.
There's still other duties that have to be done,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, do you mean replacing this position? That would not certainly.
It's the equivalent of hiring another person at a time when we are reducing staff is the point.
I don't think we could hire anybody for 24,000.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I will.
Sally does a good job. It's nothing against Sally. It's nothing against
No,
the
I think-
program. It's just the timing I don't feel is right. That's all I have to say.
Okay, I appreciate that. Then I will entertain a motion, commissioners. What is your pleasure on the Granicus proposal for Sweetwater County?
So moved. Make a
Vote.
motion for $23,527 to purchase the Granicus program.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second then. And discussion? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Ms. Shanefield, didn't you say you had another platform you thought would be something we could look at, just to clarify?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have, I've seen other platforms, but I don't
Okay.
have in-depth information
you.
on that. I was hoping that staff would have other ideas to present to us. So
Gotcha.
I have not moved forward in doing additional research on that.
My comment will be then, before we call the question, that we asked staff to do this and they have, and this is the solution that they've come up with for us. And I think they did a great job, and I've looked into it as far as I've wanted to. I've looked at, Cheyenne and what they do and their website and how it works. And to me, it looks great. So call the question, and all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay.
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 Looks like we have a 3-2 and it passes, and we will move forward with the Granicus software. So thank you for the discussion and digging into it. And thank you to staff for doing that as well.
Thank you, Sally. Thanks, Tim. And Cindy.
What else should we do today?
Tab F. Do we have?
F?
I was just looking at the time.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're 20 minutes ahead there. Do we have everyone here for that?
For which one?
Tab F?
No, we don't.
Well, let's not do F then. And
What about
Janice's not here. How about tab I?
I and J? We could
Let's
that
do tab I. I know Commissioner Toman's here. Tab I, ratify draft comments on RMP's application for low carbon energy portfolio standards. Commissioner Toman.
This is per our protocol for adopting comments that are submitted on our behalf through the Coalition of Local Governments. I believe you've all received a copy of the letter.
We have for a little bit. Questions for Commissioner Toman? What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to ratify the comments that have been submitted on our behalf.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. And let's go tab J. This may take a minute longer, but let's go with tab J and options for federal land and resource use involvement. So we're talking CLG here. Commissioner Toman.
Okay, per Wyoming statute, county commissioners have an obligation to represent the county, including but not limited to representing the county as a cooperating agency with special expertise in matters related to the National Environmental Policy Act and in federal land planning, implementation, and management actions. And we are very much involved. Commissioner Johnson had been involved when he was a commissioner, probably bailiff also, in providing local input before the federal plans and projects go public. In 2004, Commissioner Oldfield supported the Conservation District in meeting with our fellow counties, it started out as 4 county commissions and conservation districts to form a coalition of local governments to be able to leverage our funding or some dues to be able to hire expert staff to provide legally defensible, scientifically credible comments to the federal agencies for the administrative record, which would give those agencies, as well as any proponents trying to do projects on the federal lands, would give them standing to be able to support those projects. So we have different options that we could consider. We could hire our own natural resource specialist to replace Mark Cott. I'm now in his office holding guard over all the federal documents that he helped prepare over the last however many years he worked for the county.
You're in the treasury over there.
I'm supporter of proponent of the treasury, so I welcome anyone to come and explore his office. There's one whole drawer on sage grouse planning, one on federal land plans. There's several drawers on resource management plans, which the county has been involved in since 2004. It started in before 2004, in 1990, late 1990s, the Jack Morrow Hills. That was the first cooperating agency federal plan that the federal government invited the local elected officials to participate in before it went final or before it became a public document, when it was still pre-decisional, allowing us to provide input into that plan. So we sat through literally, I don't know how many hours of meetings. That was my first experience anyway. Then the Kimmer Resource Management Plan of the Bureau of Land Management cuts in near Granger. That is in a portion of Sweetwater County. So that's why we got involved with these federal plans that maybe had, there are 4 field offices in the High Desert District of the Rock Springs Bureau of Land Management, Kimmer Field Office. That natural resource plan, literally hundreds of hours. That was the first experience for the BLM to hire a private contractor. Well, we sat through 40 hours of meetings in February of one year, and the contractor they'd hired was biased. They weren't taking our comments, so we raised objections. So we got to sit through another 40 hours of meetings that same month. So that was kind of our first experience of being a cooperator and sitting through and going through all of the topics that they go through in a federal plan. So the first option would be we could replace a person to be our resource specialist, but even if we did that, we would still probably want to get the legislature appropriates money through the Federal Natural Resource Policy Act. Through the governor's office, we can get grant money to help us hire someone to write the legally defensible comments. And we would have to involve staff in working with legal counsel to draft the comments, and we probably still would have to hire legal someone in legal to write the official comments at a cost of 50 to 100,000. So that could cost 100 to 200,000, option one. Option two would be to hire our own legal counsel independently, a minimum of 37,500, but really that would be an unrealistic estimate. I did receive from our legal counsel that works through the coalition, and I'm sorry it didn't get put in the packet because I didn't receive it. Maybe a portion of it was in that packet. An estimate of the cost to defend the county through all of the upcoming projects, including the integrated resource plan for Rocky Mountain Power. The coalition was very actively involved with Commissioner Kent Conley and Commissioner Johnson in providing testimony to the Public Service Commission of Wyoming that changed legislation in the state of Wyoming. So, I mean, some powerful things have been done and completed through that coalition, but just to continue providing input to the Public Service Commission on rates and what happens to our coal-fired power plants, they're estimating at least 28,000 just to continue to comment. Kent Conley is also, the former commissioner, is also working as a consultant with the coalition. Connie Brooks has been associated with that public service commenting process, and now Danielle Betancourt of Fairfield and Woods. So, so we're looking at, I don't know, 13,000, 14,000, so approximately 28,000 to continue to comment on that process. Ashley National Forest Plan revision, we are having 2 days of deep dive meetings, June 15th and 16th in Vernal, full day cooperator meetings to comment. It's an estimated cost of 36,000. And we anticipate being able to get the governor's FNRPA money to cover maybe 19,200 of that. Rick Schuler is a retired district forest ranger. He has agreed to help provide comments and input for us. 150 hours at 15,000. Kent Conley, 1,500. Van Elserband is a retired forest supervisor and researcher who charges $100 an hour. He estimates 35 hours at 3,500. Connie Brooks, 16,400. Let's see. Richard Stem is a retired Forest Service officer who last served as a deputy regional forester for Region 2. His collaborative work is separately funded through the governor's office, but will also provide input on proposed projects. Van Bernard will provide technical expertise on bighorn sheep and domestic sheep interactions and wildland fire. He charges $150 an hour, estimates 25 hours, $2,500. This would be on the Ashley. Brooks will provide framework at $165 an hour. And I have to say that is the coalition's rate. She only charges us $165 an hour. She is way more than that for any other client, I believe around $250 an hour. So that would be on the Ashley. If you kept adding those up, we've already exceeded what our $35,000 dues to the coalition of local governments would be. BLM and the Forest Service have taken a review of the sage grouse plan amendments to withdraw sagebrush focal areas from development, estimating a cost of $35,800, or 20% of that would be covered through the FNRPA. Kent Conley is going to provide input on that. C.E. Brooks will prepare line-by-line comments at a cost 90 hours for $15,675. Renee Taylor is a Wyoming biologist who can provide a literature review update on the sagebrush focal areas, $9,625. The sad part is the BLM, this administration has totally rejected all of the revisions on the sage grouse plan, and the sagebrush focal area is a separate EIS, a separate plan, but they have totally thrown out the sage grouse plan and are starting over, even though we have done that twice. So if we do not defend our natural resources, our development, our local economies, our tax base, If we do not have someone on board to help us defend that, we will pay the price. The Rock Springs Resource Management Plan Revision and Wild Horse Plan Revision are now out for public comment. We will be doing final comments, and they're estimating approximately 34,000 of $68,000 request. Kim Felderman, a mapper, he has done a lot of mapping to help the coalition review the different special areas. The main thing that's going to happen with this plan as it comes out, instead of being a resource-friendly plan and helping our economies and our tax base, it's going to shift more to a conservation type of plan with a lot more special use areas. I can't tell you positively where they are, what they are. I know where they are, but you can look at the draft online, I believe now. I saw in the paper. I think that the RMP has come out. I know the Wild Horse revision has come out. It was treated separately as an attachment to the plan. Anticipated fees for the mapper, $6,000. Van Elser Band will address vegetation management in the context of plan revision and wild horse management at a cost of $6,500. CE Brooks, cost of $21,450. Additional projects in play, Pacific Soda Dry Creek Mining. Right now, we have been providing comments. Our planner, Eric Bingham, he attends the meetings and provides county expertise and comments, but the legal comments, they're estimating 80 hours or $13,200. Just for this year, 40 hours at $6,600 to continue to comment on that plan and process. So that's just to give you a flavor of what types of projects we're facing. The coalition meets once a month and with the lawyers and the technical people and reviews all of those plans and provides the on-the-ground local input so that the legal comments can be prepared. Number 3, we could stay involved in the coalition and leverage our $35,000 dues with hopefully Uinta County will stay in it. If they do or they don't, we have 6 conservation districts covering 17,000 acres in Southwest Wyoming. We have the Little Snake Conservation, 2 in Lincoln County, Sublette County, Lincoln County, and Sweetwater County. 6 conservation districts are involved. And we're anticipating about $88,200 for NERPA money is what they have right now, probably that or $100,000 for next year. So we're looking at approximately a $200,000 budget, which the coalition has been able to raise over the last, since 2004. We've actually raised more than that with more counties involved. The sad part is some of the other counties, the Pinedale Resource Management Plan has been completed. The Kimmer Plan has been completed. The Rollins Plan has been completed. Guess what? Rock Springs Plan is now in the final stages, so the other counties don't feel the need to stay so tightly involved as they have been. So it's more important than ever that we stay involved to be able to defend ourselves without having to bear the whole cost for this county alone. Number 4, we could work with the County Commission Association, and I would recommend getting their Natural Resource Council. Their new person has been hired. I met him in Jackson last week, but he has 4 years of experience in oil and gas and water experience. That is not going to cover all of the issues, and he has to represent the entire state of Wyoming. So we need to have specific Sweetwater County commenting to defend our county for our multiple uses that we enjoy, which include access, recreation, grazing, oil and gas, coal, trona, all of the mineral uses that provide support to our economy. Or number 5, we could do nothing, make no comments, give the federal agencies carte blanche and say everything's great and we're fine with it. Colorado River, I understand Green River was involved in hiring an attorney to provide Colorado River comments. We have an attorney through the coalition. She's following the issues. She follows all of the federal issues as well as the water issues. I also attached in that packet a 2019 ad valorem. We're trying to get an updated one, but the ad valorem value for Sweetwater County from federal and all other lands for Trona, coal, oil, and gas. Commissioner Johnson, you and Mark Cott, I know, designed that. We're trying to get the State Revenue Department to get us an updated figure for that, but it shows in 2019, 57.95 of the total mineral valuation of 871,966,897 assessed value. And we know that is going to be declining if our coal-fired power plants close down, but we're hopeful that because of the testimony that they can go to gas-fired and retain or support some of that tax base. And the assessors here, and I'm sure he could comment on where our assessed valuations are going as well. It's vital that with a county of 7 million acres, the 8th largest county in the United States, 70% public lands, which in 2019, almost 60% of our assessed valuation was coming from those lands, that we stay plugged into the process, remain active, leverage our dues to be able to support our county. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have, but I would be happy to answer any questions. I have personally sat on every one of those cooperating agency meetings for 21 years, starting with Jack Morrow Hills. That's thousands of hours. And I'm not saying it because of what I've done, but because of the importance of staying connected and staying educated and staying involved in those. And I have taken the steps to have us develop a protocol in last May that we do take those comments through this board to ratify any comments to submit it, or to give this board a chance to object if they don't want our name signed on to any of those letters. So that's the protocol we've been using. If they are pre-decisional and they cannot be aired publicly, we do it in executive session. And if they are public comments, then we approve them or ratify them in the public process.
Thank you for that deep dive, Commissioner Toman. And
Deep dive, thank you.
yeah, with 5 options, you are recommending option number 1. No, excuse me. Option number 3 to stay in the question.
I would recommend to pay the $35,000 dues. I just don't see how we can defend ourselves and pay the total bill on our own. I think we need to stay committed to the process with a team that has got the knowledge, the background to continue to represent this county.
Thank you. Comments and questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this kind of goes into the next item on the agenda because they're very similar, but I think, this commission just approved $23,527 on a computer program. And without a plan in place to move forward to continue to protect our federal lands and ensure that we are being heard, I think that the 35,000 is minimal for what we have right now. And I'm not saying that I'm pleased with Sweetwater County being last on getting our everything taken care of and approved. I'm not 100%. I think that is really bad for our community. But I think that we need a plan to move forward if we're going to pull back that $35,000 and not just have nothing going on, no plan. So
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Yeah, I've spent the last week trying to research what I could regarding CLG, and that research included reaching out to Sublette County and also Lincoln County to find out why they decided to pull from the coalition, as long as also reaching out to Uinta County to see why they chose to stay in the coalition of the CLG. I also had a meeting with our land use head, Eric Bingham, regarding how this could affect him, because I think the honest truth is, if we pull out a CLG without a plan, a lot of that could fall on him. And I will tell you, I think Eric's an amazing employee who does a great job. But right now, we already have him juggling balls. He's juggling the duties of planning and zoning, land use, and economic development. And I think if we were to put this on him additionally, something was going to falter. And I don't think that's anything against Eric. So Eric, please don't take it that way, but it's just natural consequences when you put that much on someone. And for my conversations with the other organizations, I'm not sure that we are necessarily getting our bang for our buck at this point. I'm actually concerned that Uinta County may also be getting out. But unless there's a plan and a concept in place, I think we're leaving ourselves open for, I think we're leaving ourselves vulnerable. And I don't think that's a good place to be on that. And so a couple of the things is if we, at this point, until another plan could be put in place, I would recommend we stay until a plan could be formed and that works for everyone. But a couple other contingency, I think they're important is I want to see what happens with Uinta County. I think one of the biggest concerns I got in my research with CLG is I'd like to see them put some controls on the money that are put in place, because one of the concerns was that any one of the members could actually call Connie Brooks and get letters and those things put in place. And there was no controls to how those monies were controlled or what letters were being written. And I'd like to see some controls on that, because one of the concerns was some of the counties felt like the conservation districts were actually using it more than we were, and we put in the bigger bang for the buck. And I also want to make sure there's a process in place that CLG is not placing letters that are contrary to our beliefs. For example, the Trans West, they spoke against it, but we were totally for it. So even though at this point, my actually leaning as of yesterday was to go toward not renewing and moving with CLG, I think right now we have nothing else in place. And I don't think what we would put in place would be effective to protect our community and our county. And until something can be offered that's there, and that I think we need to stay. But I also believe we should approach CLG with those three comments, seeing what happens with Uinta County, put some controls on the money in a process to ensure CLG is not there when it's big. And the last thing is, as I was talking to Bob King and Tom Noble and Eric South from their various commissions, one of the big things that CLG did bring was the fact of communication. And I think with the other two counties not out, all three of them were in proponent that maybe we create a coalition of commissions where the four commissions get together every bi-monthly, quarterly to have conversations about how things are going and what is happening. And that eventually could become a vehicle that's similar to CLG, but it could also be used for economic development, legislative pushes. And like I said, both Robert King and Eric South were very high on that. Tom Noble said he thought it was a great idea, but wondered if we would all make enough time to make it happen. But I do think we should also forge forward on working with those four to have a commission type based workshop quarterly. So that's where I'm at. So
Thank you.
Sorry for the length.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Commissioner Wendling.
Yeah, just to answer Commissioner Lloyd's, one of the things that he brought up with regard to anybody contacting Connie Brooks, I had the opportunity to observe a meeting where Commissioner Toman brought that to their attention and worked very, very hard through that meeting, another meeting to get it cleared up and understanding that that the costs had to come down, and in turn that would have to stop. And I think shortly after that, it's been reduced considerably. So that piece of it, Commissioner Lloyd, I think has come down a bunch, but at the same token, those are the same concerns I'd heard talking with those other counties and that type of thing. The one thing I do know as a commission, we won't look for an alternative until we put ourselves in a position to have to. And the alternative sometimes is a better fit for us, especially at a time when, whatever that may be, especially at a time in which other counties are backing out, no longer need that. So by not being a member of CLG would force us to step up and find that alternative and that type of thing. If we use, we'll find an alternative and keep CLG in place, we'll continue to not work on it and continue not to do that. The other thing is I thought it would be mentioned, but it hasn't been mentioned. But up until recently, in the last couple of years, we're finding out we're also in tune to $40,000 that's been committed to pay CLG for Connie Brooks services, which we did not know about until the last 2 years. And that was a commitment from years ago. So, that doesn't set well with me for working with CLG. The other point that I've always pointed out. It hasn't set well with me with CLG when I find out that I go to an industrial siting meeting and CLG has wrote a letter, and I've got the copy of the letter right here in my folder that I'm willing to share with all of you, and get hit with the governing body of CLG asking, how can we be asking for industrial siting money when CLG, which we're a member of, sent a letter to them requesting that the permit not be given for that transmission line. No notification at all to this commission, but signed off by the membership of CLG. And I know, Mary, I know. Point being is that doesn't set well with me. That's not transparency from CLG. That's not transparency. We all sit at this table and talk about transparency. Time in and time out. And then when we bring forth ways to make better transparency, we're hesitant. We're hesitant. Point being, those are issues alone. Plus the aspect of is because of the approaches from CLG toward private business. And I know we're talking about jobs and we're talking about that and we're talking about Pacific Power. It puts us at odds with Pacific Power, which is a major business in this county. I don't agree with them shutting down. I think the legislative is moving in the right direction and has the right things in place and still needs to fine tune it to keep our plants open without them being dismantled. And I think that's the right move and everything. But again, too, without us knowing and the comments going to into different places, it puts us at odds, and CLG writes those comments. That's why I've always said those comments need to come here first. We need to see them all. They need to be put out there so the public can see them and they can get a hold of us and let us know whether they don't support them or support them. And then we go on from there. I presented only as a budgetary item for CLG with moving budget money around for our budget as commissioners without increasing it for this next year, and yet put money in there for commissioners to travel because it isn't there. It's overspent this year, plus money in there for payroll for commissioners when they do travel for commission money where it's included in their salaries and that. So that was that proposal. That was a way to do that. So that's my comment on it. That's what I've observed. That's what I've experienced, right, wrong, or indifferent. Yes, we do need something, but if we sit here and say, hey, we'll rely on CLG until we find something, we won't look for something. Won't be forced to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Wendling.
Mr.
So,
Chairman.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Yeah, I'm a little bit befuddled by the comment made. If we don't just pull out without a plan, we won't move forward. I think we could sit here and come up with a plan of how we're going to look at options. We may find out CLG is the best option, but I think the times we've gone without a plan have been disastrous. And I'll give you an example right now. Ambulance. We're still battling ambulance when we made a tough decision. And you know what? We may solve that in the next couple of weeks, but going in without a plan and forcing yourself to do something isn't a plan, and it's not effective for the taxpayers. If we're going to make a change, I insist that we come up with create a group, do whatever we have to do. We've got great knowledgeable people in the area like Eric and other resources we can use. If we can get them to, with the time to look at options and come up with a plan and make sure that is the best plan. And I think that's the only, if we want to look at an option, that's the only way to do it, is to take our time, find the diligence, set some timelines, and then make it happen. And we may find out, like I said, CLG is the best option, but we can look into it and be proactive. And we could actually ask that this commission gets a report from that group every week of where we're at, every meeting, so we know there's process. But I think it's to say that if we just don't make the drastic decision, it won't move forward. I question how effective we are as a commission at that point. So that's just my comment there.
I'd say
Chairman, if I could
hold
help.
on, no. hold on.
Okay.
I appreciate the comment. Well, no, I don't appreciate the comments about the ambulance. That hurts my feelings, Commissioner Lloyd. But I'm just kidding.
Any comments?
Oh, we need to wrap this up. Commissioner Toman, quickly.
Thanks, Commissioner Wendling. He's been my co-lead with federal agencies for the last year and a half. And he has done his due diligence, but just to respond, yes, we do make motions on any letters drafted or sent now. Yes, we do bring them to you. And to Lloyd's comment, you get at least 4 CLG things from Carol Hamilton through Sally a week, telling you what's happening, what comments are being prepared, what we're talking about. And we meet monthly for at least 4 hours. The next meeting is alignment on May 26th. I would invite you to start getting more engaged, to read more of that. I've done everything I can to try to keep it transparent, make sure everything comes through this commission, that we ratify it either pre-decisional or in the public meeting. And I don't know of anything that's gone through since we've adopted that protocol last May. So that would be my comment. It took a lot of effort to form that CLG. It's been in operation 18 years. And yes, there have been times through personality clashes when I wanted to bail out myself, but I think it's leveled out. I believe that we have protocols in place to make it more viable. And that's all I would say. Thank you.
I think all of our opinions and stances are clear. So since we are currently members of CLG, I would entertain a motion to remove ourselves from CLG if that is the desire.
Mr. Chairman, don't we have a motion in place? I made a motion, didn't Lauren second it, to pay the CLG dues? No?
No.
I made a motion after I finished to continue to pay CLG dues. Well, I would like to make it
Yeah.
now if you did not get it.
Do we need an affirmative or do we, like, is that status
Affirmative.
quo, or would it be better to have a remove us from? Which would you prefer? Mr. De Leon?
I think it's appropriate to have a motion to pay.
Okay,
Makes sense.
affirm.
Adopt
Okay.
option 3 to continue as a member of the coalition of local government.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Will you repeat the motion, please, Mr. Chairman?
We have a motion to remain in CLG and pay the dues for this year.
Option 3.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Question.
I have the bylaws for CLG, and under the termination of membership, it says any member may terminate membership by notifying CLG in writing 60 days prior to July 1st that they will not be paying annual dues. Any prior year's accounts payable shall be prorated amongst membership based on a percentage of dues paid to CLG in the prior year to termination. And so I guess my thought is that we have at least another, no, never mind.
May 1st
Yeah.
was the deadline.
Yeah, so I mean, we're past that already, so
Mr. Chairman, when
Commissioner
Commissioner
Wendling.
Shane Phil's done.
I'm done.
Thank you. First of all, I don't recall that particular document coming before the commission for our approval, and I don't believe I see any commissioners, much less the chairman's signature on that document. So it's, in my opinion, it's not one that's tied to this commission.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Thank you for the discussion. All those in favor of
Roll call vote.
all those, so we'll start that way. Voting in favor of staying in CLG and paying the dues for this year, Commissioner Wendling,
No.
Commissioner Shanefield,
I'm thinking still. Yes.
Commissioner Toman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith, yes. I think that that was good discussion and lively, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
Yes,
a point of order real quick. I would wonder if it would behoove of us, it would be okay if we put on the agenda next time, putting an exploratory group together to look at alternatives to CLG.
you're welcome to make that request.
Okay, thank you.
We'll move to tab F. Now a little tardy. Presentation of the AIA Academy of Architecture for Justice Award. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning.
Not a problem. I always enjoy. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to formally present this award that the American Institute of Architects Academy of Architecture for Justice awarded to Sweetwater County Justice Center in 2020. This is a recognition that is national in nature and actually includes facilities throughout North America, including Canada in 2020. It is a recognition of the excellence of the facility, which really is a reflection of the planning and effort that this county and many of the staff, as well as the courts department within Wyoming, gave to make this a successful project. I personally became involved in efforts to improve and address shortcomings within the judicial system back in 2007. Commissioner Joe Oldfield at that time led a study to address security, address effectiveness and efficiency of the judicial systems, which included the courts, county attorney, public defenders, and sheriff's departments at that time. Unfortunately, with his passing, that his sort of leadership took a back seat. It took a back seat. But in 2015, with the event that occurred in Judge James' courtroom, really sort of brought back the issue of security with an event that occurred in her courtroom that it was a close call, if you will. And the commission and the county at that time recognized that they needed to prioritize that. The benefits to the county of consolidating the aforementioned departments in one location have been, I believe, immense. I've had opportunities to both speak with Judge Prokos after actually just last week, but prior to that, Sheriff's staff, Danny Aramosby with county attorneys. And some of the comments that I'd like to share with you are Judge Prokos, we're able to be far more effective in ways that we didn't conceive because the right people are all in one location. And when we have an opportunity to explore an idea, it's very easy to get together, evaluate the opportunity, make decisions, and move forward. Previously, with the circuit court split between both Rock Springs and Green River, you had two completely different clerical administrations, different paperwork, different forms, etc. Now that that's been unified, you are able to better share workload, which was always a challenge back prior to 2017. But also another comment from Judge Prokos that between he and Judge Jones, they split they hold jury court alternating weeks. And usually they would be able to settle cases before they went to jury, before they went to court, but usually it was in the last minute. And the opportunity to use that courtroom effectively to address other cases was a challenge. Now, because of that, again, the right people in the right place, they are oftentimes able to clear court schedules and bring it and schedule other elements on the docket well in advance, being a great benefit to the courts. Safety has been a significant improvement as well. And not only is that safety at the circuit courts, but I believe here at the district courts with the circuit court vacating the commission, the county court it has been far more effective for the district judges to be able to effectively, safely do their work. But I wanted to recognize both former commissioners John Kolb and Wally Johnson, who I believe is here, and many others, including Judges Jones, Judge Prokos, former Sheriff Mike Lowell and his staff, Judge James, and I've forgotten the other judge at the moment, who was district court, but also Yes, Lavery. Thank you very much. And many others that really contributed to the success of this project. And so with that, I thank you very much for this opportunity to present the award.
Lovely. Who's receiving that?
I believe you are.
Oh,
We should bring up the old commissioners.
I will say I've spent ample time at the jail in different capacities, and it is well designed and well thought out. And
Thank you.
It was amazing the first time I was there.
I'm glad to say as an architect that it took me becoming a licensed architect before I went to jail. So
I had to become a commissioner before I went to jail.
thank you.
Thank you for your time. And for the record, Tom Brennan from
Thomas Brennan, EDA, architecture firm down in Salt Lake City. Thank you.
Thanks for making the time.
Mr. Chairman, can we have photo op with our former commissioners and our
Absolutely.
proponents?
You may. You can have two, actually, if you like.
Thank you very much.
But
This project was really something that the county should be proud of. Because what we got a call, when I got a call for the commission from Chief Justice Kite, Chief Justice of the Wyoming Supreme Court, she wanted to meet with us, and she came and she met with us, and she told us that our courts were not adequate, and we as a commission were responsible for taking care of that. And we did. And the way we did that is we formed a committee of the judges, the clerks, the sheriff's office, county. I think that coroner might even been involved in that, and Dan Aramosby's group, the public defender, was involved in that. And there was a group that was put together as a committee that researched what needed to be done. They retained Tom and his group to continue working on it. And I think that the commission that was involved in that at that time made it happen, and it was done well, as attested to by this citation and this award that Tom's firm received. And I'd like to recognize the commissioners that were involved. I'd start with Joe Oldfield and John Pallison, because they were the ones that were involved in the jail initially, and that tied into this project. And then we had our current commission, Commissioner Wendling was involved at, Commissioner Bailiff was involved in that for 2 ways. He was the sheriff and he was also a commissioner. Reed West was the chairman, and the glue that held us all together was Don Van Meter. Don was the one that held us all together and kept us direct and kept peace in the family, because there were disagreements. And you can imagine with me there and Cole there both, there was a lot of disagreement.
That's weird.
But the project was done well. It's a credit to the commission and the judges and all the people that worked on that. And I think the people in Sweetwater County, to let us do that, it was a $20 million project. 16 million, I think, came from funding that the county had, and about 3 to 4 million came from grants that we received. And I think the people of Sweetwater County, the 44,000 people in Sweetwater County, were well served by that commission. And I'd like to publicly thank them and appreciate them. Barb's here representing Don, and we miss Don, and he was one of the best commissioners I worked with. And also Joe Oldfield. He was also a gentleman. He was a great guy. Don was a great guy, and I thank them. And I thank all of you for having us here today.
Thank you. Could we do a photo op? Could we take a picture? if the three of you would come up, and Tom, if you go down below with them, and us newer commissioners will stand behind maybe, how about we do that? Okay, so stand right up here, and we'll stand behind you if that's okay.
Is your architect, is he from the architectural? Is there another person from the architects? Oh, okay.
Thank you again. That was a lot of work, and the time that we were working through the Lagoon Road project for a little bit. I mean, we didn't even break ground and it was a lot of work. So I can't imagine what that project entailed. And it really is, this is just a testament to what an excellent job was done all around. So thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to thank Commissioner Johnson for how well he put that together and remembered that history. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have him sit down and we write that up some way now, so it's not forgotten. Thank you.
Type that up. Yes, send it our way. Tab G, we will have Sweetwater County Tourism Master Plan presentation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I hate to do this to Janessa. Can we take a 5-minute break?
5 minutes?
That would be
10.
fantastic.
Or
Okay.
10?
Let's do 10-minute break and we will return at 10:15. 10:15, we will return. It's important. And Cindy. Okay. Welcome back. Call this meeting back to order, and we are on tab G. We have Janessa Meredith with us to talk about the Sweetwater County Tourism Master Plan.
Good
all yours.
morning. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for allowing us some time this morning to share with you our Sweetwater County Tourism Master Plan. We commissioned this plan to be created so that we would be in a good position when funding opportunities become available. We wanted to make sure that we had all of our projects vetted, all of our ideas on the same page, included everybody that was key to the conversation, and get it all into one plan so that when those opportunities became available, we were ready. So we have been working with Darren Rudloff with Rudloff Solutions, and I'm going to have him speak with you about how the plan came to be and the history of all of that.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you, commissioners, for this opportunity. A pleasure to be back here in Sweetwater County chatting with you about the Tourism Master Plan Janessa and her group put together. So first thing, the question is, why are we doing a Tourism Master Plan, or what is it? Did it show up?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Here it comes.
I can feel the excitement.
Oh, it's building.
A crescendo. There we go.
Boom.
There we go.
Basically, commissioners, a tourism master plan, as Janessa just laid out, is an attempt to go beyond Sweetwater County travel and tourism, but to put your arms around the entire county to ensure that travel and tourism, the chambers, the city, the county, everyone is working together behind some big common goals.
Think so.
Okay. I guess this will work.
This will work.
Again, the goal is to get everyone working on the big project together, to create some consensus on some major goals and strategies, be ready for funding opportunities as they arise because you've already vetted projects, and basically just get everyone together behind some big goals. You know, you've already worked with something similar with the Outdoor Recreation Collaborative. I think it's working well here in the county. So that's a perfect example of this type of idea. Everyone working together behind some common goals. So it's not just Janessa's group, but it's also the chambers, it's the cities, the county, everyone working together, moving forward on some major goals. Now, I know all counties are different in Wyoming, but recently Laramie County and Natrona County also went through a planning process like this. They're about a year ahead of you, but they've had some significant projects moving forward. And here's some brief examples of how it's going for them. Here are some of the projects moving forward, some of their success, but let me just highlight two real fast. In Laramie County, the city of Cheyenne is working closely with Union Pacific to accept some donated cars, some old rail cars that are just rotting on the UP project, on the land. A railroad attraction was one of the main planks in the Laramie County Tourism Master Plan. So the city is working with UP to get control of these cars, renovate them, and use them as a major attraction alongside the depot along 15th Street. The city of Cheyenne is contracted with Visit Cheyenne, Janessa's counterpart in Laramie County, to manage this project. And Visit Cheyenne has actually hired a design firm to redesign 15th Street so these cars can be placed right beside the depot, renovated into small attractions or even businesses they could house, like a candy shop, an ice cream shop, etc. In Natrona County, you can see some of their projects that have been moving forward. One I'd like to highlight is their Wayfinding sign program. 2 weeks ago, their city council decided to move forward with their implementing the sign program, but instead of doing it all in 1 year, so it affects the budget in 1 year, they just decided that for every road project coming along in the next couple of years, they would add a couple of signs. So they included signs in a piecemeal fashion with future projects. So again, these are two examples of ways that the city and the county and the Visitor Bureau and all the organizations work together to move some projects forward. And again, like we all realize, y'all have done that here too, between the county and the two cities. The outdoor recreation collaborative is a wonderful example of one that's already going on here in Sweetwater County. So Janessa's organization organized a steering committee. These are the members of the steering committee that have participated in this planning process. This steering committee started in winter months, late fall, winter, and in the winter months, they met a couple of times in person and then did a lot of work with online surveys and through emails, et cetera. And what did they work on? Well, here's the process we worked on. Sorry if you can't quite read that if it's not big enough, but basically at the top, we didn't start from scratch. The first step was to do a literature review. Basically what we did is we looked at all of the plans that the county has done, Rock Springs has done, Green River has done, the downtown groups, the chambers, the college, the outdoor recreation collaborative, et cetera. We started with reviewing all of the documents that are already in place. And we looked for common issues that showed up throughout the documents. Because if the chamber's talking about it, and Green River's talking about it, and the county's talking about it, it's an issue that needs to be addressed, either that it's an opportunity or it's a problem that we need to work on. So that's how we identified some top strategic issues that had common interest across a number of groups. It's not just travel and tourism talking about it. It's other groups talking about it as well. Once we identified 4 big strategic issues, we checked it out with the steering committee. They agreed. Then we interviewed 19 stakeholders throughout the community. So these are elected officials, and these were people that had specific knowledge about those 4 issues. So we investigated the issues in greater detail. We surveyed residents. We surveyed visitors talking about the strategic issues as well. And after we gathered all of that input, we created the tourism master plan out of all of these components. Here are the 4 strategic issues that this effort identified. Number 1, partnerships and collaborations, how everyone works together. Number 2, outdoor recreation, your giant strength here in Sweetwater County. Number 3, attractions and amenities. And number 4, travel industry infrastructure, which is basically all of the components from lodging, transportation, et cetera, how well everyone's working together. So those were the big 4 strategic issues. And then we tackled specific strategies on how to move forward. Janessa will take it from here.
Well done, thank you.
Yeah, so basically, we wanted to make sure that we had everybody on the same page. The partnerships and collaboratives, we wanted to put that as our very first strategic issue, because if we're not all working together, we're not going to be as effective. So a successful tourism master plan requires stakeholders to agree on common goals and work together to attain them. Instead of working in silos, we have a countywide view from all of the stakeholders involved. So under the partnerships and collaboratives, we wanted to make this tourism master plan a unifying document. We want to create stronger communication and collaboration among local economic development agencies, local governments, so that we can all focus on big picture goals and themes. We want to investigate and pursue funding options. So that's what I started to talk about when I introduced this project. There's funding opportunities, and if we're all working together, we're going to be more effective, speaking with a solid, unified Sweetwater County voice. So that was a really big goal. We want to speak with a unified voice to pursue those funding options, whether it be 6 penny or federal funds, state funds, to be able to achieve the goals of this plan. As you know, our outdoor recreation attractions are just epic. They rose to the top in every single guiding document that Darren reviewed. Outdoor recreation is just enormous in Sweetwater County, as you all know. We rival any other area. If you've been to some of the national parks in the country, it baffles me why we do not have a national park here. We have some epic landscape. So unfortunately, what we have here is a little bit difficult to access, undeveloped, and rugged. So we want to work to improve existing outdoor attractions and create new ones that will be vital to making Sweetwater County a major outdoor recreation destination. It's been mentioned before, but developing and improving the wayfinding programs that we have. So travel and tourism paid for the creative development of both the city of Rock Springs and the city of Green River wayfinding programs that exist today. But we have a number of outdoor recreation attractions that don't have enough signage to get someone there without, coordinates and navigation. So we really want to improve the wayfinding, not only within the municipalities, but for all of our outdoor attractions as well. So creating that plan is really important. We don't want people to get lost when they're looking for our epic attractions. We also want to work on developing and improving the Flaming Gorge experience. As you know, we've done a lot of work around the Flaming Gorge. It is our largest tourism asset. Our Flaming Gorge motor coach bus tour that we host in the summer months has been going really well. The All-American Road designation on the scenic byway has positioned us to apply for funding to build turnout. So that's developing it, but we want to continue to develop that and have the conversation about a state park, possibly. The governor's Drive and Thrive initiative listed 2 additional state parks to be developed. It didn't make the year 1 initiatives, but we want to make sure that conversation is still being had and that Sweetwater County is a really integral part of that. We are prime and ready for a state park. So that conversation is being had, and we're actually going to host some field trips this summer with some key state employees to continue that conversation as well. Developing and promoting outdoor recreation and supporting outfitters. So obviously some people want to go and explore on their own and some people want a guided experience. So anybody who wants to go into business to be an outfitter or a guide, we want to support those efforts and really do everything that we can to help visitors to enjoy our amenities and access them easily. We also want to support efforts of existing outdoor recreation groups. So we have mountain biking clubs locally, we have motorized vehicle clubs, SWAT that we're all very familiar with. Want to make sure we're supporting all of their efforts, making sure we're all talking and utilizing our resources. And of course, I serve on the steering committee for the Sweetwater County Outdoor Recreation Collaborative. So making sure we're part of all of those conversations and we're all working in the same direction, especially to overcome some of the land ownership issues that we have in our area. And then to develop trail networks in Rock Springs and Green River. So Green River already has the green belt that they're working to develop and enhance further. And then Rock Springs, the conversations were had about expanding the Bitter Creek project to include some trails along that. And then also an overarching long-term goal of this plan would be to develop a trail between the 2 communities, which would be really incredible if we could do that. So yeah, long-term goal, but it was brought up numerous times as something that would benefit both residents and visitors. And then developing recreation opportunities in the Red Desert. The sand dunes are phenomenal, like we've talked about. We will be selling sandboards this summer. People are going to buy them quicker than we can purchase them to be sold. They're really, really popular. Yeah, docs first. Yeah. Every time I talk about it, people afterwards are like, how do I buy it? Where do I go? And I'm like, just give me 1 minute. They're almost ready. Yes, it's happening. It is happening.
Nice.
Yes, so that will be available. We just want to make sure that if you don't own an ATV, you can still get out and experience the Red Desert and our epic sand dunes. So that's important. And also part of that state park conversation, if it isn't Flaming Gorge, why couldn't it be Kilpecker Sand Dunes? Want to make sure that the state understands that we are really primed for a state park. Attractions and amenities. So while outdoor recreation dominates Sweetwater County's tourism industry, events and indoor activities also play a role. This is a really, really interesting number that Darren was able to generate with his research. More than 80% of residents attend at least one event annually at the Sweetwater Events Complex. 80% of residents attend at least one event out there. That's a huge number. And tourists list festivals and events as one of their preferred activities. However, the county lacks other indoor amenities, and establishing those would really serve our residents and our visitors. And it's not only quality of life for our residents to provide those indoor facilities for events and sports, being able to recruit quality workforce to our area. Really, when they're looking for what is their family going to be able to do when they move here, it's really critical to have some indoor space for them to do sports and host events and things like that. So keeping existing venues updated and competitive, as well as adding new ones, will improve the county's appeal and quality of life. So we would work with the events complex to help with their future planning and what they have for their strategies, investigate the need and support for new event space, multi-purpose facilities, field houses, event venues, and so on. And then also, wouldn't it be awesome if we had a hotel and convention center? We could really generate a lot of economic impact if we were able to secure that at some point as well, with the meeting space that we would need to accommodate large groups. We also would like to support the development of new and expanded attractions and businesses, and then of course, support everything that our downtown main streets do in Rock Springs and Green River. And the last strategic issue is travel industry infrastructure. So an area's travel infrastructure often determines how successful the area is in enjoying tourism's economic benefits. The planning process reveals the need to improve these basic building blocks for Sweetwater County's hospitality industry. So in particular, the research indicated significant interest in the beautification of the gateways into the county's major communities. So as you know, through the beautification boards that I've created and served on, we've done a lot to enhance our gateways with gateway signs and landscaping improvements, but there's more to be done. We've only handled a few of our gateway entrances off of the interstate. So this plan addresses all of the exits off of Interstate 80, as well as the gateways into our downtown districts. So as you know, the first impression that you get when you enter a community really has a lasting impression on you. So we want to do what we can to improve those gateways. And then also supporting Southwest Wyoming, the Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport is really critical for both residents and visitors and future workforce. So continue to support them in their efforts. And then also we want to develop efforts to improve both quality and quantity of the local hospitality workforce. And we can do a lot to generate visitation to our area, but if folks have a bad experience on the front line when they arrive, we know that they'll tell others and it will impact the overall visitation to our area. So supporting our local industry is really, really critical as well. So that was the fast and furious version of our Sweetwater County tourism master plan. Obviously, all of these bulleted points will be fleshed out and worked on in collaboration with our partners throughout the county. But we would take any questions that you might have at this time.
Questions? Thank you, first of all. That's great. I did want to note at the end of page 21 of the document you submitted, residents consistently rated ourselves lower than the visitors did. So we're a little hard on ourselves, aren't we? For everything, for recreation, shopping, attractiveness. We as residents rated ourselves as lower than all of our visitors. So just interesting there. I thought, I'm like, God, we're kind of hard on ourselves here.
Absolutely. Darren referenced the same point.
Yeah,
He
it's
noticed
kinda
that as
funny.
well, for sure.
Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment of how well I think this is put together, Janessa, and the work your group has done. And I often say that, as we look at economic development or diversification is a better way than development, I always feel this is our most ready-built piece of the puzzle. And it's, I really like the infrastructure piece where you talk about the travel and tourism industry infrastructure and how you bring that together and how to put that, the parks and recreation piece together. In fact, one of the things that I've want to look at as a commission that I'll be bringing up in the next meeting or so, maybe even today and go to the comments is as a discussion we've had already before, but how do we start reimaging our county parks to become part of that plan? We have a lot of great parks, but can we start reimaging them some? So maybe we have one that's a Frisbee golf destination, and maybe one's an overnight camping opportunity. So those are pieces where I think we can eventually help potentially bridge into what you guys are doing to help with that infrastructure. So great job, and thank you for the work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Other comments?
You're doing the bus tours again to Flaming Gorge, right?
Nice.
Yep, they are on our website, explorewy.com. You have a pop-up right away when you get to that URL that will lead you to purchasing tickets. We are primarily hosting them on Thursdays and Saturdays throughout the summer months. And any frontline hospitality employee in the county gets a complimentary pass as well.
Nice. Mr. Wendling?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for asking me to participate and allowing me to. So I was a great experience and I truly, truly enjoyed it. And as Commissioner Lloyd has said, it's a great document. And it's a start for us to start moving forward for the county. But thank you for your hard work. Thank you for being part of it and leading us as a facilitator. And I know Janessa, she'll stay on top of it and we will be visiting it quite often, I hope, as a steering committee to see if we need to do any more work on it, updates and stuff. But, you know, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sandboards, baby.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm thinking sand burns.
I know.
You do get a lot of sand in a lot of
Couple of
places
those,
you
yeah.
never thought you'd get when you do that. Yeah.
Funny.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that and continue the great work. It is going very well. So
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
making
Thank you for
sure
the tickets.
that we've done that. We did that and that. We did that. Did that with that.
Really, at Lauren?
I think we're at specific purpose tax.
We're way ahead.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go to tab L. After chatting with Commissioner Wendling, we kind of worked tab K and tab J together.
know,
So
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I hate to do this, but there's a reason we video these and put them on there, and there's a reason we assign times to them, and there's a reason we ask people to get here early, and that's so the public can see what's going on. I know, and they don't need to attend and personally and wait, but I just feel remiss that we're not respecting people who would want to hear what we have to say by not allowing them that opportunity by doing things early. It's just my thoughts. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but
I appreciate that.
I planned the whole day with you guys, so why should we change it?
Why should we change? And we still may be here. How about we do tab N with the scholarship awards? That work?
Well,
Did
Mr.
we-
Chairman, that might have an involvement too. Maybe we should do one of those little executive sessions.
I was going to say we need to move into executive session, which we have done in the past, since we're talking about minors and grades and accomplishments and things. So
That would be a good one to.
I think so.
yeah, so I'll take a motion to move into executive session
I'd so move.
and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And let's talk about some scholarships and we'll come back out after that. And before we won't do we'll do another executive session later.
Okay. Good call.